Me don't want to hear nothing from nobody. Nobody can tell me nothing. These are my views on everything. Alright, you can't be prime minister and have your wife and be speaker of house. That means say you are thief things and your wife are thief things and nobody else can get no chance to thief nothing. Fuck you with that. You Wilmington, then fire you, take your blood clot out of parliament or you're so enough. You look like a one-time fly, take shit, you fucker you. You remember when you could have go in a parliament, go sit down and chat off your mouth. No, then don't want you in there. Your time up, leave. Your time fucking up, leave. Mr. Mark Golding make a valid point. You, the prime minister, is a little fuck up. You and your wife not together, and you behave like say your wife and your little chullups. Your wife and your little chullups. I want a young girl you there with. You have to come out, come tell the truth. Who want come lock me up and come? Me talk my mind. Move for the blood clot, you all on go!
Pee, puppy. Que pasa, sapa, say what they do. Welcome to Crime Time News, where the difference is in the meds. Call it news with a buzz. The video that you just heard is of a man that is echoing the sentiments of what a lot of Jamaican thinks about your Prime Minister Andrew Holness and his wife being the Speaker of the House. People see it as a conflict of interest. And when we really think about it, it is not very appropriate. There are question signs, and whenever there are question signs, people are going to always have stuff to say. Disclaimer before I proceed. This is not a video bigging up the PNP and bashing the JLP. This is a video because what I do speak about current affairs and things that happen. Not things that I help people at any sort of GUN point and hold any teleprompter to them face and say this or do that. It is things that happen, so therefore I respond or I speak about stuff that is current affair. You and I saw exactly what transpired when there was some sorts of budget committee in a parliament in which the speaker, the opposition leader, Mr. Mark Golding, stood up and he was giving them a royal tongue lashing, especially the Prime Minister, when he said a point of contention is that you are the Prime Minister and your wife is the Speaker of the House, and she has not been tabling stuff where it is not beneficial to the Prime Minister and persons who are a part of the JLP. So therefore, a big conflict of interest, everybody walk out. I am going to let you hear one of the spokespersons for the JLP, Babsy Grange, what she had to say about Andrew Holness' wife, Juliet Holness, being the Speaker of the House, and then I'll give my piece.
So it is disturbing and hypocritical that after more than 5 months after her election, that the leader of the opposition should so spectacularly question the election of this eminently qualified woman. Like all members of the House who are not ministers or parliamentary secretaries, she has the right to be considered for the post of Speaker. The two-term member of Parliament, who also served as Deputy Speaker, was elected to the Speaker's chair on merit, not because of her spouse. It is wrong, and it harks back to a bygone age before women's empowerment to say that she or any woman should be disqualified for any post because of the job of her spouse.
Now, people, whenever we list the persons, we have to always think, are they biased? Are they being objective? Do they have a horse in the race? And who is that horse? And why they might say certain things that would be beneficial to their agenda, because they are beneficiary of the politics of the JLP. When we think about Babsy Grange, she is one of those persons that always try to act very honorable. But we know, based on information that is out there, validated and verified, she is not the most honorable person. Am I going to say she is dishonorable? Not really. I am not going to say anything. Oh no, and oh no. whatever is understood does not need to be explained. So therefore, she is claiming that Juliet Holness is qualified. Qualified how? Where did she go to school? What makes her qualified over a lot of persons that have been in politics for a little while that is more educated, smarter, all sorts of criteria of any sorts of measurements? It is because she is the wife of the Prime Minister. So therefore, because she is FUCKING, a certain person, then she gets priority, then pretty much push her ahead of everybody else that qualifies. So therefore, it is a conflict of interest and she is not qualified. None at all. Just like she claimed to be some sorts of contractor that is building a whole bunch of house when everybody with any sorts of sense know that these money are coming from kickback from companies that are actual construction companies that the government give all sorts of contract. However, that is a next story for a next day. I want you to listen exactly what Mr. Mark Golding has to say, and this video has been out for a little while, and then I am going to give my piece.
Is the media ready? Are we ready?
Born ready.
All right. Tell me when we can start. Go.
Come on.
Today was a sad day for our democracy in the sense that for the first time, the government in Parliament walked out during a budget debate and prevented the leader of the opposition from completing his presentation, denying the Parliament of a quorum, so the Speaker had no choice but to end the proceedings. And I, as leader of the opposition, was unable to finish my presentation. I didn't say anything offensive about anybody. I made a point of principle, which is that it doesn't sit well with the tradition in our parliamentary system, which requires the Speaker of the House to be independent of the government, for the wife of the Prime Minister, who's the head of government, to be the Speaker, which is effectively the head of Parliament. And these concerns are not just my concerns. Many Jamaicans feel that way. And in fact, the international community also has concerns about it because it's really a very unusual situation. And indeed, the Prime Minister, who in an emotional fit stood up and walked out and precipitated the situation which brought the proceedings to an end, really himself reinforced the validity of the point I was making, that there needs to be proper independence between the Speaker and the government. And by virtue of them being spouses, there is none. That was the point I was making. And her conduct, Mrs. Holness's conduct, has given rise to concerns by not tabling the reports of the Auditor General on a timely basis as they arrive. There are reports which have been, I'm told, reached Parliament from January, which have two Auditor General performance audit reports that have not been tabled. By determining that certain reports of the Integrity Commission must be sent to an oversight committee within Parliament, which is dominated by the government side and chaired by the government side, before those reports are tabled and made public. These are issues of grave concern to me, as somebody who believes in the parliamentary system and in democracy, and indeed for many Jamaicans. So this is why I thought it was essential to make this point in my presentation. And the reaction of the Prime Minister to it reinforced my concerns. Furthermore, Mrs. Holness has refused to make public or even share with us as members of Parliament and senators the legal opinion which she claims justifies the position she's taken. If that is the case, then why isn't she sharing it with us? It wasn't given to her in her personal capacity. It was sent because it concerns matters affecting Parliament in a very fundamental way. To deprive the Parliament of the benefit of that legal opinion is itself an egregious act, inconsistent with transparency in the way we conduct our parliamentary affairs. What I believe happened was that when the speech was shared in Parliament and the Prime Minister saw the points that were coming after the point I was making, he decided to take this action because he didn't want me to have the opportunity of making those points in Parliament in front of him. And what are those points that I'm referring to? The next point I was going to make was that the illicit six, which is a matter of grave concern in the country, is another instance where governance in Jamaica is being brought to a low ebb, where 6 MPs are under investigation for illicit enrichment. And the Prime Minister not only has declined to make public who they are, but has put a gag order on his cabinet forbidding them from talking to the media on any issues relating to the Integrity Commission. And the point I was going to make after that was that the Prime Minister, as head of government, cannot be in a situation where he is not in good standing with the Integrity Commission of the country. He has failed to have his statutory declaration certified. And that statutory declaration lists his assets, his liabilities, and his income. And for successive years, the Integrity Commission has not certified and published a summary of his declaration. That is an untenable situation for Jamaica. And I was in my speech, the next point I was going to make was to say, if I were in his position, I would take away myself and replace myself with somebody else who is not compromised. The Prime Minister knew that was what was coming next. He couldn't face the heat, so he decided to walk out. First time ever in the history of Jamaica, the government ends the budget presentation of the leader of the opposition by pulling out their members and denying the parliament a quorum so the proceedings couldn't be completed. Yeah. I'm glad I was able to, on Duke Street, standing on a wall, addressing those who were there, finish my speech right then and then. But it's a shame that I was unable to do so in the parliament of the land.
The opposition seconded Mrs. Holness's ascension to the speaker chair. Why raise that issue now, as opposed to when she assumed the chair in September last year?
2 things I would say about that. First of all, when that arose, we were not briefed in advance. We weren't consulted with. I was not in Parliament that day. And the clerk to the House presented the leader of opposition business with the script and said, this is a tradition that the opposition seconds the motion. And he had no opportunity to consult with any of our members, and he decided to follow the tradition that he was told existed. But furthermore, her conduct subsequent to that appointment has reinforced the issue of principle, which gave rise to my concern. Because as I've said, she has adopted a course of action where reports are not being presented and tabled on a timely basis. And a timely basis in this context means as soon as they arrive, they are to be tabled and made public. And she is not doing that. And she has not released the opinion of the Attorney General, which was given to Parliament for the benefit of Parliament, to advise Parliament. She has not released it, which she says justifies her actions, but we don't know because we haven't had an opportunity to see it. And Integrity Commission reports, some of them, she has said, are to be sent to an oversight committee, which the government dominate in terms of numbers. They have the vast majority on that oversight committee. They chair that oversight committee.
Now, people, truth be told, certain things are grey, certain things are black and white. That means it is obvious, wrong versus right. And this being the Prime Minister and then his wife being the Speaker of the House, that has a whole bunch of power when it comes to the decision, when it comes to stuff that is in Parliament that needs to be revealed. So therefore, people can have a better understanding of what is going on. So in other words, she should be independent of the government or the leader of the land. Whenever you and somebody share the same house, share the same bed, you might have a propensity or a tendency to be biased because you like that person. The general consensus, like you hear the man say, is that Jamaica is supposed to be some sorts of democratic society. However, the way in which your Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, and his wife are acting, it is as if it is some sort of dictatorship, like where they are South Korea or North Korea, or one of those places. So we saw that Andrew Holness got in his feelings, got very emotional. It is like a little spoiled child, spoiled brats. Whenever the game is not going his way, if it's his ball, him around the ground, him take up him ball and him flex him left. Mark Golden is saying that this lady, meaning Juliet Holness, Speaker of the House, is not tabling the reports on a timely basis when it is sent from the Integrity Commission. As a matter of fact, they have formed their own committee in which is run by the JLP. So therefore, whatever them want to keep in a secrecy, them send it over there and then it is kept in more secrecy. So therefore, it is inconsistent. It is not open. It is not transparent. That is the problem that most persons have, including the leader of the opposition. So another point of contention that the opposition leader has, Mr. Mark Golden, is the illicit six. These are 6 individuals that are said to be from the JLP that are in contradiction of illicit enrichment, meaning that they might get some sorts of bribe. The Prime Minister is yet to speak about it. The Speaker of the House is yet to table it. Like I said, them have a next cabinet that oversee that cabinet that makes the decision. And whenever it is not beneficiary to them, them pretty much sweep it under the rug. No sorts of discussion, mum's the word. A next valid point of contention in which the minister has, the PNP leader Mark Golden, is that your Prime Minister has not released his statutory declaration for years. This shows his assets. This shows what he makes versus what he has. For obvious reason, he is not allowing people to see this. Now, people, isn't that controversial? The leader of a country that is encouraging people to pay them tax be in good standing. Show what you have and which part you get it. He is setting no sort of example. So therefore, when the Prime Minister realized that the heat was on, him run out of the kitchen and he was followed by his bag of baggy followers, meaning that persons from the JLP. People, it is a sad state of affair, and this explains why Jamaica is the way that it is, because there is no sorts of discipline. Nobody is held accountable. Nobody is going to say the truth. Everybody just do what they want to do. It is a anything goes world, meaning Jamaica. And then they expect the criminals to be different. If the people that we put on a pedestal act the same way like the criminals, what do we expect from criminals when that is in their natural instincts? So the people that are expected to be honorable, they are dishonorable, they are dishonest. They are like dictators in some sorts of supposedly democratic society. People, what is wrong with Jamaica? We see exactly what is wrong. There is corruption at the top of the stream, so therefore there's always going to be corruption at the bottom of the stream. Point blank and period. So anyways, people, thanks once again for checking out my video. If you appreciate videos like these, please show your appreciation by liking, commenting, sharing and subscribing to my channel. That is how YouTube promotes videos like these to like-minded, sensible persons like yourself. Bless up.